This reel made over $38,000. And in this video, I'm going to break down two major concepts. Firstly, exactly why this reel made so much money, and exactly how you can replicate its success for yourself. And secondly, how I actually know that this reel made over $38,000, because you might notice that this is not me, this is not my reel. So in the second part of this video, I'll show you exactly how to determine exactly how much money each individual reel on Instagram has made you. And if you do this for yourself, you can actually, tell exactly how much revenue each reel has made of yourself, so you can double down on the reels that make you the most money and get that sort of exponential growth. So to start this off, let me just show you a recording of this reel. So I'll press play, it's just 52 seconds, and then afterwards I'll break down exactly why it's brought in so much money.
When I was working in my corporate job, so that was like a year ago, I was posting once a day, and I must have been working maybe 50, 60 hours a week, which was not fun. And I was still doing networking events, I was still building offers, I was working incredibly hard. What some of the things that I remember doing is I remember refusing to eat out because of the fact that it was too expensive, but also refusing to cook. So to optimize my time, I'd go and I timed the perfect time when the Tesco meal deals would come out. So I knew at 3 p.m. and at about 8 p.m, the Tesco reduce to clear section would come on, which is where they put the stickers on the Tesco items, where they like discount the prices. So I know straight away that was the time I had to go to Tesco. So I ate my lunch at 3 p.m, and I ate my dinner at 8 p.m, and I'd basically have the scraps of what Tesco could deliver. And that was because I was just so focused. Every single thing I was doing was optimized towards basically working hard.
Okay, so there we go. Now that we've seen the video, let me break it down piece by piece and go through each individual concept that actually why it's done so well. So whenever creating content, there's three different things. There's a framework I like to call the VAR framework, and this stands for, V stands for value, A stands for authority, my handwriting is awful, I'm sorry, and R stands for relatability. I can't bother to write that out. So these are actually also in order of how easy they are to display in a video. It's for, what do I mean by that? Well, value is very easy to deliver in a video. Then authority is the second hardest, and then relatability is the most hardest. But they're also in order of how well they actually sell a person. So giving value to someone builds enough trust that they might buy from you. Authority builds up even more trust, so they're still on the fence, but they're a lot of the way there. But then the relatability is the thing that really pounds it home. So when he starts this video out, he starts off with a very relatable story. And before I jump into more details of that, I should give some context about who this is. So this is a friend of mine called Sol, and his offer is actually helping people to escape their 9-to-5s. So his ICP is, if you don't know this, ideal client persona, is people who are working 9-to-5 corporate in London, and there's this whole lifestyle around it. So it's like if you're in finance or corporate, you get the tube, wake up early, 9-to-5, Monday to Friday. Most people then go out for a pint after work, and it's this whole culture where everyone's worked really hard at university to obtain this, this job, this degree, but in reality it's kind of the rat race is what people like to call it. And a lot of people end up realizing that the big salaries aren't actually worth it. And so then his whole offer is about, coaching people to start their own offers online so they get time freedom, money freedom, whatever. And they might be making the same amount of money as in their corporate job, but they now have all their time free so they can afford to, have a coffee at 2:00 on a random Tuesday. It sounds like I'm selling his offer, but this is just context is really important, because every single video you should be making, and the reason this is done so well is because of the focus on the ICP. And I'm sure you've heard loads and loads of people, say this before. But let's go through these in order actually. So what is the value in this video? Where has he given some information or given something that is, education, information? What has he given in this? Because a lot of it seems like he's just talking about, this 9-to-5 life and how, how he was struggling and all this stuff. Well, the value is actually the least represented thing here, because the only value is just just a lesson, right? And the lesson is simply working hard, right? He's, he wanted to work for as many hours as possible, right? And if you're starting a business, you'll understand this. And so he's like, well, I perfectly optimized my timing to find out exactly when the cheapest food came out in Tesco. So he's keeping his costs down, but the big one is the hard work, right? He did all this, and it sounds super extreme because he just wanted to get as many hours in as possible. And this is the least valuable thing in the video, which is also why he doesn't, talk about it much. So now the next part of this video is authority. Like, how is he giving authority with this video? Well, I mean, just based on this single frame, we can see he's in the background, he's in some slightly nice place. Let me just get rid of this drawing so you can see it a bit better. He's in some sort of nice area. He's got the green thing. It's like, it looks like he might be on holiday somewhere or in a nice place. Also, the whole video is framed about talking in the past, right? So this suggests that he's in a much better place now. And he's talking about how he's built up his business. So even though he's not said, oh, I've made, $50,000 this month or something, there's still this implied authority in the sense that this used to be him. It's like, oh, well, I used to, if I said, oh, back when I used to make $1 million a month, that implies that I'm doing much better than that now, right? Even though like $1 million a month is people's goals or whatever, just making a comment like that implies that I'm doing better in the future, or I'm doing better right now, I should say. But these are just the simple surface level things that he does in this video. Like, the value is quite simple, the authority is also quite simple, but the massive one is his relatability. And this is the biggest component. And like I said earlier, this is the most powerful thing in getting someone to buy. You can give out loads of value, you can show loads of authority testimonials, but the relatability is what really, really sends it over the edge. That's what actually targets the ICP. Value can apply to any business owner, authority can apply to any business owner, but relatability makes it specific to the ICP because it's super, super, super relatable. And as an example of the power of this, I heard a story about some dating coaches. So there's one dating coach who's, super, super massive, and it's kind of general, hundreds of thousands of followers, and does coaching courses and all this stuff. And he got loads and loads of clients. So then this other guy comes along and he also wants to start a dating offer, and he does the market research and he finds, let me draw this guy as a little stick figure, the first guy, right? And he's got, say he's making the millions, right? But then this other guy comes along and he also wants to start a dating offer, but it's like, how can you compete with this massive guy who's making millions and millions and there's a massive, capitalization on the market? Well, it's by going more specific. This guy was an Asian guy, and then his whole community ended up being more focused on, dating, networking for these like Asian dudes. And this, so then when you look at it, it's like, okay, say you're another, Western Asian guy, or I can't remember exactly who he was. And you're like, okay, I could go with this guy who's, he's got millions of followers and testimonials and all this stuff. Or I can go to this guy who's exactly like me, also has good testimonials and, similar pricing, all this stuff. But the only difference is he's more like me. It's the relatability. So even though this guy's making millions, has more testimonials and all this stuff, people will still choose this other guy because he's more specific. They relate with him more because they are him, the same background or whatever. So this is why relatability is so important, because even if you're the small fish or the big fish, you can still capitalize on more sales by just leveraging who you are. That's why personal branding has done so well today. I'm just going to quickly clean up some of this drawing. I've been scribbling quite a lot. So how is he relatable in this video? Well, if we remember, he starts off straight off the back with the relatability. And there's keywords that are extremely relatable to his ICP. Like, if you're copying this for yourself, you need to think of exactly who your ICP is. And in a lot of cases, if you're a coach, a lot of the time it's just you in the past, and you just basically need to tell stories specifically about situations you're in, just like this. In his example, he's talking that there's a few buzzwords, like even just Tesco, right? Tesco is very much a British shop, right? And there's so many small things like this, like even his accent, right? It's this whole British thing. So this very much signals, oh yeah, British, whatever. Tesco meal deal, even more specific. Like, if you're from the UK, Tesco meal deal, first of all, is the best meal deal. But second, it's like such a unique thing. It's like you're working, it's lunchtime, you go out, you buy a meal deal. That's just how it works. It's the terminology, right? And all of this adds relatability. So, and he gets even more specific than this, and he starts talking about the reduced labels. Like, if you're in the UK, every single supermarket, to be fair, I didn't know the timings until I watched this video, but every single supermarket in certain times will put reduced stickers on products because they're going to go off or spoil very soon, like sandwiches, whatever. And even this is just more specificity. A lot of people look at this and get worried that being too specific is worrying. But it's not, right? You target this ICP, this super, super specific person. That doesn't mean all of your clients are going to be this person. It's just to allow people to relate to different specific things. Like, specificity is super, super, super important. So in this case, even looking at like myself, I relate with Tesco meal deals and stuff, but I don't relate to optimizing my time so that I can get reduced, prices on the meal deal, so I can optimize my lunch and dinner. And like, I'm not, having reduced item stuff for dinner. I don't shop at Tesco even, but I still relate to this just because of all the terminology and all of the examples. And so when replicating for this yourself, I know this is like super generic, but focus on the ICP, right? If you want to copy this format, focus on the ICP and think exactly who they are, or if you're like a coach, gym coach, fitness coach, business coach, any form of coach, a lot of the time you're just looking at you in the past. So just think of super specific things about you in the past. Go through your camera roll, look at things you've taken screenshots of, and the more specific, the better. And once you should already have this ICP, but once you have this ICP profile, all these specific things, always have them in mind when creating videos. And then apply this VAR framework, right? Putting more attention to the ones that are lower down. So relatability is super important. But make sure to get as many of these as possible. And I would actually try to implement them in order. I would give value, show authority, and then show relatability. Because you can be super relatable, but if there's no authority or no value, then you're just relatable. That's almost just like a personal brand. These people who, do UGC or brand deals and all this stuff. So relatability on its own is not enough. You still need the value in, whatever your offer is around, and the authority in whatever your offer is, in order to fully capitalize on this. Now, when I started this video, I said there was two things I was going to show you. First of all, I was going to show you this video, how it's made $38,000 in the format to follow, which, as we've just covered now, is focus highly on the ICP, super specific, and then follow this VAR framework, value, authority, and relatability. But then I also told you I would show you how I know that this post made over $38,000. And this is a very specific number. How the hell do I know this? Like I said, this is not me, right? We don't look alike. We are wearing black t-shirts right now. But how do I know that this video made $38,000? Well, this is where my software company comes in, because my software company basically finds founders like Soul who are Instagram run businesses, as in they get most of their clients from Instagram through posting content. And we actually install software for these founders to help them determine exactly how much money each individual post they make generates. Now, I'm going to show you a sort of hacky way you can do this yourself without using our offer. But if you do want us to just do this for you and it's fully automated, no VAs, no extra employees, we do it all for you, you get a dashboard that looks a bit like this, then you can book a call down below with the link in the description. Otherwise, I will give you a way of doing this at the moment, and I'll explain it. It's slightly complicated, but it is a way to do it. So once you actually know how much money each individual post makes, you can then do something that I call the scaling through creative, right? Where you create pieces of content. There's different phases for this. You can have as many phases as you want. You start out by creating different pieces of content. And then once you've created these for content, you've waited a period of time for the revenue to come in, you can then determine, okay, which video actually made me the most money. And so this one made $6,000, this one made $2,000, this one lost money, and this one made $1,900, whatever. And then you can double down on what's already working. So take the 6,000 video, make 4 more videos around that, with that hook, the topic, experiment with it, and produce 4 more pieces of content similar to that. And the same with this one, create another 2 pieces of content, because this made less money than that one. And then you just keep repeating this process, right? So, okay, now we have these 4 data points, and this one made $10,000, made way more. And so then we want to double down on the videos that produce us the most money to make even more. And then you can actually get this exponential growth. Because currently people, they scale using vanity metrics, I call it, likes, comments, views, and all this stuff. And when you optimize for metrics instead of revenue, then your revenue will just go horizontally, but your views will, increase exponentially, increase linearly, whatever. But then when you switch it and instead you analyze based on revenue and optimize based on revenue, then your views might, stagnate, but your revenue goes through the roof. Because when you optimize for views, you're going to get more views, not money. And when you optimize for money, you're going to get more money, right? When if you're using Instagram to actually run a business, that's all you should care about. You shouldn't care about views or, you've got the wheel of vanity metrics here. You shouldn't care about your likes, comments, saves, shares, any of that. It should just be all about revenue, because you're running a business. Now, in order to determine how much money each individual video has made, so the first step is collecting all of the interactions with your data. So although vanity metrics are not important, like specific details, for example, this person has liked this video, this person has liked this video, this person, the specific people that's liked this video. The same with, okay, Jason Coopton has commented this specific comment. Linus has commented this specific comment, right? This has specificity and granularity. We don't care about how many likes, but we care about who has liked and what post. So you collect all of these events, collect the likes, collect the comments, the story views, everything. And then you assemble these into lead timelines a bit like this. So, this is lead A, and this is all in chronological order. So lead A has liked this post, and then liked this one, and then commented this text on this post, and then liked this one, and then they've closed, right? And you collect all of this data, assemble into these lead timelines in chronological order. You can do this with a VA, you can do it yourself, but you just go on Instagram, click on post, get all the likes, whatever. Next, we have the lead timeline. So now we need to run it through something I like to call a weighted revenue attribution algorithm. And this is essentially where we can determine which posts are actually bringing in the money. So here are 3 trails, right? View these as those lead timelines, right? This is step 1, this is step 2, step 3. And this is person A, B, and C, right? And all 3 of these leads are leads that have actually bought your offer, right? We're looking at we're looking at the activity of leads that have already bought. And so then we can see correlations. So, okay, this lead's gone through these posts, but both of these leads have interacted with this post. So this post must make lots of money because it has correlation between leads. Same with this post. All 3 of these buyers interacted with this post, so that post must generate lots and lots of money. And then the added benefit of having all this, and then after knowing this, we can then, this is called organic attribution is what I call it, because you're attributing your revenue to different posts. So now these, say each of these was $5,000 each, this post would now be like a $15,000 post because it's contributed to $15,000 worth of sales. But the added benefit after this is once you have, the exact revenue for each post, like, okay, you can double down on the post and do better, like I showed you through scaling through creative. You can double down on the posts, but also this then means you can identify leads who are about to close already. So this is something I call the lead hotness metric, right? So now you know how much value each piece of creative, if you like, is. So your posts, your stories. You can then look at timelines for leads and say, okay, he's liked this post and he's liked Y story, he's DM'd this keyword. You know values for each of these events. And you can do this for all of the leads, right? You can see exactly what they've done and the value of those events that they've done. And then you can add all of these together into totals and use a scaling system to then determine the hotness of each lead. And when I say hotness, I mean like if a lead is 100% hot, or their hotness score is 100%, then they're almost guaranteed to buy your thing. And the benefit of having this is once you have all of your leads, I think I have a screenshot actually, once you have all of your leads with these hotness scores, then you can just reach out to these leads who haven't closed already and just appointment set them and make sales straight away. So it's not just determining exactly how much money each post make, but it's also determining which leads are ready to buy right now. So just to recap that entire process, first of all is collecting all of the events, collecting the likes and comments on all your posts, right? Then organizing this data into lead timelines. So for each individual person, you can see chronologically exactly what posts they've interacted with and how they've interacted with it. And then once you have these timelines, you do this weighted revenue attribution algorithm. So you make use of the fact which people have closed, and so then you can look at the people who have closed and analyze their timelines and see the correlations in pieces of content that they've interacted with. From there, that then allows you to determine exactly how much money each piece of content has produced. And then the added benefit of that, like I said before, is this lead hotness metric. So you can determine who's about to close before they've actually closed. So you can appointment set them. Now, I admit that process was very complicated, but like I said earlier, we do a software company, we automate this entire process so you don't have to do it. So if you do want us to do that, like I said, there is a Calendly link down below. Just book a call. I will personally be on that call and show you exactly how this can work for your business. I can even show you a demo with your real data, which is super, super fun. So if that sounds interesting, then please do book a call down below. Otherwise, I hope this video has been valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.